Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is your tropical update for September 4th. We're back live here today. Tropical Storm K located south of Mexico. Tropical Storm Earl north of Puerto Rico. Category 1 Hurricane Danielle located west of the Azores in an area of interest off the west coast of Africa. It's a party today in terms of action. So let's start with K. As you saw, a lot of clouds going on there. And so the zoomed in version of this storm looks like a lot of clouds. And that's kind of what it is. Expected to become a hurricane as it makes its way up towards Baja California, where then it will begin to weaken due to latitude. But in the meantime, hurricane-like conditions possible throughout the Baja California Peninsula, as well as much of the Mexican Pacific coast. Currently a 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm, like I said, going to strengthen up to around 100 miles per hour, according to the latest Hurricane Center forecast. Potentially a Category 2 hurricane, some models bringing it to Category 3 strength. So that's kind of what we're dealing with K. It might not even make landfall, but it's still going to run up that Baja coast. And so that's worth noting. Category 1 Hurricane Danielle located west of the Azores today, looking much better on satellite presentation, starting to look like a proper hurricane with an eye wall and everything. With that, it may strengthen a little bit more, but probably not much, as it makes its way off to the north and to the east. North of the Azores, which is good for them. However, tropical storm force winds are still possible there. As you can see, some of the western Azores still inside of that green 10% probability of tropical storm force winds. That is on Tuesday evening local time there, or Atlantic Standard Time, sorry. So that's the time that we're dealing with there. Again, an 85-mile-per-hour hurricane at the moment. May strengthen back into a Category 2, probably not, though. Going to remain a Cat 1 for the next 3 days or so before becoming a tropical storm and expanding its wind field as it becomes an extratropical cyclone. Earl located north of Puerto Rico. Heavy rain expected over Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands today. 3 to 5, isolated to 8 inches. There, gusty winds and squalls possible as well. No tropical storm warning because tropical storm force winds aren't going to sustained make it that far south. But portions of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands could still see tropical storm force winds at time. Currently a 50-mile-an-hour tropical storm. This thing's going to strengthen up to 115 miles an hour, according to the National Hurricane Center. It's going to go wide of Bermuda. However, still want to keep an eye on Bermuda. It's still in the cone. And so if anything shifts a little westward, as you'll see here in a second, right here, actually, like the UK Met model brings it very close to Bermuda, while as much of the other models, the OFCL is the official forecast, brings it a bit outside. Some of the models do strengthen this thing well into the major hurricane status. Again, the Hurricane Center expecting a Category 3 hurricane. However, some models are strengthening this into a Category 4 or a Category 5 hurricane. Earlier today, the 12Z model of the H-Wharf brought this into a Category 4 hurricane wide of Bermuda, just bringing some light winds to the area, not much above tropical storm force, but still worth noting there. The area of interest near Cabo Verde, that satellite image wasn't correct, that's why we skipped it. Near 0% chance within the next 48 hours, 20% within the next 5 days. As we'll see here in a bit on the Ensemble Models, what we have to deal with this storm, you'll see. So here's the impact map associated with all the storms we're watching with today. Tropical Storm K, again, that whole Mexican coastline really needs to be watching this one, especially western Baja California. Needs to be keeping an eye on this one for potential hurricane impacts. Again, it'll weaken as it moves to the north, which is good, and then turn out to sea rather than inland, which is also good. According to the latest, again, things can, of course, change. Earl, again, some heavy conditions expected in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands tonight. That's both U.S. and British Virgin Islands tonight. Then it's going to move off and away up towards Bermuda. Impacts to Bermuda still unknown at this point. We could see the impact increase for that area if it gets a little bit closer. Speaking of getting a little bit closer, our friend Danielle is going to be making its way closer to the Azores. Probably not too close, though, remaining at a minimal risk there. Could see that increase in the far western Azores, but I'm not really expecting an increase at this time. And then the area of interest off the west coast of Africa, no threat to land. And it probably will remain as such, as we can see on the European model. That's going to go out to sea. Could come back around and hit the Azores. We see Danielle going well to the north of the Azores. Earl, again, generally wide of Bermuda. I'll bring my cursor over here. Here is Bermuda, where my cursor is at right now. And so it goes to the south of Bermuda, which is good, but still a few models are bringing it close. In K, making its way up the Baja. You can hardly see northern Baja in this map here. Same deal with the GFS model, a bit closer to the Baja, I think, on this one. More chance of landfall, at least. Earl gets a bit stronger than it does in the European model, but also stays away from Bermuda. You can actually see it without me having to put my cursor up. Note that the GFS speeds Earl up and moves it out of the way quicker than the European model does. Danielle makes its way north of the Azores again, and the area of interest goes a little bit further out into the Atlantic and is a lot slower to develop than it does on the European ensembles. That's all we have for today, folks. Again, keep an eye on K if you're in the Pacific areas of Mexico, Earl if you're in Bermuda and the like, and Category 1 Hurricane Danielle if you are in the Azores for some reason. But also later on, for people in England, Portugal, and Spain, need to be watching Danielle as it transitions into a low pressure system and then a regular storm, not tropical, into the England areas. So that's kind of all we have for today. That's all for now. Chris Dixon of Ortho Catholic Media.